Hit live too quickly there. We got Eagles dominate the second joint practice against the Cleveland Browns. Lots of positives to get into. Lots of creative things going on with the offense and defense. We're here to break it all down. Joel Embiid says a lot by saying nothing. Union smoked by Messi. And a shout out to the Media Little League as they get set on their journey to the Little League World Series Championship. Trending in the AM. We're live here on Philadelphia Sports Network. 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever. You know the drill. Like, share, retweet, follow, subscribe. Do all that great stuff to spread the word. Tell a friend. Tell everybody. The number one morning show in Philadelphia. We are live. And it's the only morning show. It's the only show, period, talking sports, where your opinions actually matter. We got lots to talk about today, lots on the docket, lots on the agenda. We're going to dive into it all. Eagles practice with the Browns, Joel Embiid, all that good stuff, whatever. However you want to describe it, whatever it is, whatever happened, who knows. However you want to talk about it, we're going to talk about it all. As I continue to reset, little lag there on some of my side screens there, but I think we're up and good to go here. We got lots happening. Where am I? I'm here. Hello. Hello, can you see me? I'm here. Don't worry. Don't worry. Morning, Tyrone. How you doing? Let's see if we can have as crazy of a show as we did yesterday. The comments were insane yesterday on the show. The comments were off the hook yesterday. I don't know where we got off topic or where we went yesterday, but man, Davey, I saw your comments. I saw them. We're going to actually start. I'm glad you're in here. I'm glad you're here because, Davey, if you're the same Davey that commented in the replay of the show, hyping up your Tanner McGee and crushing Marcus Mariota. I don't know if you saw it, Davey. Marcus Mariota had a really good day of practice yesterday against the Browns. At least 3 touchdown passes that were recorded. Excuse me. Oh, sorry about that. 3 touchdown passes from Marcus Mariota yesterday. I know Tanner's your boy, but man, let me tell you something. I like what I saw in Tanner McKee. I am not a Marcus Mariota fan, but if something happened, God forbid, to Jalen Hurts, we do not want Tanner McKee starting this year. He is not ready. Do not buy the hype of a guy going 10 for 20 in a preseason game against the Ravens' third-string defense. First off, he was only 10 of 20. Marcus Mariota is a much more capable backup quarterback at this point. Now, in 2024, totally different story. By that time, Tanner McKee will have a full year of practice reps, of learning NFL defenses and offenses and the playbook. You know, sure, if you want to talk about Tanner McKee being the backup to the starter Jalen Hurts next year, absolutely. It'll be a cheap option, save us a lot of cap space. We could definitely do that. Yeah, there were some drop passes, but there were also a couple really overthrown balls. So I know you're not a Marcus Mariota guy, but he's still the guy. There's no way he's getting supplanted by Tanner McKee. And I don't think there's even a chance. The last thing this league wants is a focused Eagles team. Well, let me tell you something. They were focused in practice. I got to mute my screen for a second. That sneeze, man. Hold on a second. Sorry, that sneeze was still sitting there. I got to clear it out there a little bit. This team had a very poor, by their standards, joint practice one, Tyrone. And you saw yesterday it come out, the intensity level, up to 110%. everybody on their A game. Everybody ready to go. The positivities that came out of yesterday. I mean, of course, there were some fights. Obviously, Derek Barnett was in one of them. We not only would we have to change the whole offense as Tanner starting, Chow, like literally, we'd have to change our expectations for the season, even just 2 games. Like, let's be honest. Hell, if any starting quarterback goes down across the league, that team's got problems. Jalen Hurts misses 2 games, you could survive. We did that last year, even though we lost the 2 with Gardner Minshew. But if Jalen Hurts misses more than 2 games, I don't care if it's Tanner McKee, Gardner Minshew, Nick Foles, Randall Cunningham, Rodney Peete, I don't care who you throw out there. Jeff Garcia, you're losing more games than you're winning. Jalen Hurts is just that special. There's a reason why he was voted the number 3 player in the NFL by his peers. Hurts will likely miss games this year, and Mariota will get his chance. I think he stinks the joint out. Well, I mean, let's be honest, Davey. What was Gardner Minshew last year? 0-2 as a starter. I think he played well in the first game with the Cowboys, or against the Cowboys. I think he had a chance to win that Cowboys game. There's one bad play call. I still can't remember what it was late in the game, or one bad decision by the coaching staff with a timeout or something like that cost us that game. But he played okay. Marcus Mariota's not going to do much better. He's not going to do much worse. When you drop off from Jalen Hurts to your backup, very rarely does the Nick Foles experiment work the way it did. And this comment by Jan, thanks for checking in, man. Make sure you hit the like button on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're watching. Not many quarterbacks run the offense. It's tailored. Every starting team's offense is tailored to the starting quarterback. Very rarely is it tailored. A system is tailored not to the quarterback, but just with what coach wants. If you're a coach in the NFL and you have an offense and you just plug and play a quarterback, no matter what that quarterback's skill set is, it's not going to work. You really just don't like Marcus Mariota. Let's just say it, Dave. There's something like I'm not a Marcus Mariota fan. His personality is drab and dry. He's overrated coming out of college. We almost ruined the franchise, the trajectory of this franchise by trading and drafting him. I get it. But he's still our best option at this moment. I said it before. I'll say it again. I would have kept Gardner Minshew. Ian Book doesn't got to go. Ian Book is going to go. No offense. I'm not in on this Tanner McKee being the number 2 quarterback thing, but he has played in camp and in the 1 preseason game so far, head and shoulders better than Ian Book. Wasn't Ian Book like a 4th or 5th round draft pick of the Saints before we got him? Or did we trade a 4th or 5th round pick for him? Like, somebody saw potential in Ian Book somewhere. I'm not sure who, but somebody did. I don't know where it came from, but it happened. The guy's got nothing. He does. But you know what also? It's not like he's given a chance. Look, this week, I don't know if the starters play this week. The Cleveland Browns have said their starters, Steph Stefanski said his starters will not play on Thursday. Nick Sirianni hasn't said that. There are some people that think the Eagles starters need to get some reps. I don't. I don't need to see Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, hell, group Reed Blankenship into that group on the defensive side. They don't need to see the snap. I want to see half the game of Tanner McKee. I want a full 2 quarters of Ian Book. Let's just see that. I don't want to have any risk. I've learned enough in the last. We got another joint practice or 2 next week with the Colts. Ian Book should be a government watch list. Yeah, but Book's gone. Book it. Ha 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 ha. I see what you did there. I mean that doesn't qualify as the comments are like on fire like yesterday, Tyrone. We got to warm up the comment section a little bit here. Yesterday's comments were off the chain. We're off the hook. Where the conversation went, I don't know. I don't remember. The show yesterday was a blur. Over 225 people watched yesterday just on YouTube alone. Between Facebook, Twitter, and X, over 600 people watched the show. One of the highest viewed shows ever in the history of Trending in the AM. So shout out to everybody. Late to the party. You're only 10 minutes late, man. That's early for you. You like to make a dramatic entrance at a random point of the show, Drew. And that's what I love about you. Part of the Core 12. I haven't forgotten about that phrase yet. T-shirt still incoming. Would love to hear your thought on Blankenship and Sidney Brown support. Absolutely. It's on my agenda to talk about Reed Blankenship. 2 more interceptions yesterday. 3 interceptions from Reed Blankenship. in the last 2 days in these joint practices. It's funny. Last year at this point, I was looking at, could we trade for Jesse Bates? Could we make moves for safety? Reed Blankenship not only has locked up one of those starting safety roles, he's in the point now where I classify Reed Blankenship as one of those guys that doesn't even have to play in the preseason. He's locked up his role so much, and he's so important now to this team where I don't want to risk him getting hurt. He's come that far. He just has this nose for the football and knack. Wherever that ball is, look around. I guarantee one of those numbers around that tackle, it's Reed Blankenship. If there's a near interception or interception, Reed Blankenship's there. You know, it was funny. 2 days in a row, Zach Cunningham getting work, new linebacker with the ones. Obviously, Nakobe Dean being injured a bit helps there. Haason Reddick, we'll get into that in a second. But Zach Cunningham has had 2 tips in 2 days that went to Blankenship. Guys around the ball. Love him. Sidney Brown, on the other hand. That's right. We're just getting started with the comments. Just getting started. Sidney Brown, he's getting work with the ones. And Nick Sirianni has been very vocal about saying this. That Sidney Brown is one of the guys fighting for that starting role. Him. He's fighting with Kayvon Wallace. Terrell Edmonds. And you see the Eagles doing a lot of hybrid stuff. You got cornerbacks playing linebacker, safeties playing cornerback, this, that. You got all these different things. Defensive ends dropping back into coverage. Because I think they know it's just going to be 4 safeties, maybe 5 with Justin Evans, but probably 4 safeties making this team. And they got to get a little flexible. They like Sidney Brown. Sidney Brown will play this year on the field. More than Nakobe Dean did last year, which was very little. But Sidney Brown is still a young kid, and Sidney Brown has this 110% motor, 110-mile-an-hour motor that he doesn't know how to dial it back, shift back a little bit, you know, when he's got to. And that's something they're working on. And it's something that could be a boomer bust type personality early on in his career. Right now, if I had to choose, I would be starting Reed Blankenship and Kayvon Wallace. Maybe Terrell Edmonds. But Sidney Brown could be starting by the end of the year. Work keeps getting in the way. Well, you know what? Quit that damn job and get in on the show every day. That's what I say. Ghost. Who's a ghost? Remember when safety was... Yeah, I mean, it wasn't long ago we were talking about Budda Baker. Now, we don't need Budda Baker. I'm confident in our safety group right now. Brown is a fan favorite. Yeah, Sidney Brown is definitely, Judlin, a fan favorite at this point. I personally, though, just want to pump the brakes, and I don't want to rush him too much. I mean, he's a 3rd-round draft pick, 4th-round draft pick. Kayvon Wallace, 3rd, 4th-round draft pick. Taking him into his 4th year until Kayvon Wallace is starting to actually catch on. This defense is very complex. A lot of asked of Sidney Brown. Let him play special teams. Let him come in certain packages, in certain parts of the game. Let him get his feet wet. And maybe by week 7, week 10, week 15, maybe he can become a bigger part of this defense. But right now, I'm willing to just let it simmer a little bit. Let him work a little bit. Let him learn a little bit. Sidney Brown looks fast out there. Can't wait to see him again tomorrow. And he's going to play a lot tomorrow, Kyle. Without a shadow of doubt. Love the family picture there, by the way. Love it. Love that family picture there, Kyle. People absolutely love him this year. And that's fine. People absolutely loved Kayvon Wallace his rookie year in camp. And we saw how well that went at first. People were calling Kayvon Wallace mini Brian Dawkins at first. That didn't go as well. It's taken him a while to adjust. So let's just ease it in. Let's pump the brakes on him just a little bit. It's very encouraging. Look, you asked the question on the safeties. It's fantastic that right now, if you would have asked me 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, I can't even see it now. If you would have asked me 4 or 5 weeks ago, what was the number one position we had to address at cutdown time, or Howie Roseman needed to bring somebody in, it would have been safety as one of the top positions. Now, I'm not worried about safety. I think we're good there. I still think we need more safety, linebacker help. We might need some help on punter, maybe a backup wide receiver, but safety isn't one of those problems anymore. Tanner screws up. Finally, someone anti-Tanner McKee. Watch out, Libby. Watch out. One guy named Davey is going to come after you, but very politely, I'm sure, because that's what we do. We do it politely. Reed's nickname is Ghost. Oh, is it? How'd I miss that one? Man, I can't clear out that sneeze. So much stuff just there. I didn't even know. How did I miss that? How did I miss his nickname? I don't know. Brown needs to break down more on his tackles. He will miss a ton of tackles. Exactly. He just needs to know how to throttle down a little bit. And that's where time and experience will come. You don't need Sidney Brown out there 80%, 90, 100% of snaps week one. Give him time. Let him learn. Let him continue to grow. There ain't no rush with Sidney Brown. You got Reed Blankenship locked up as one of your starters. You got Kayvon Wallace, who's having a great camp. And you still got Terrell Edmonds here. Now, I don't think Terrell Edmonds is a lock. I think if they only keep 4 safeties, Terrell Edmonds or Justin Evans will be that 4th safety. They seem to be high on Justin Evans. He's not having a great camp, though, from what we're seeing and hearing. But, yeah, don't bring the Phillies up in this conversation. I'd rather talk about the Media Little League team than the Phillies. My brother sent me a text message before the show went live. He's like, are you going to talk about the Media Little League team? Shout out to Media. Delco. First time Delco's represented in the Little League World Series since the 80s. I'm a Delco boy. I'm a Delco product from the Ridley area. Shout out to Media. They play tonight, 7 o'clock on ESPN, their first game up there in Williamsport. They leave this afternoon. I'm sure there'll be a big send-off for them. Shout out to Media. But I told my brother I would shout him out a few times, but I wouldn't, guaranteed would not, talk about their manager or their starting rotation or who writes their lineups. I'm not going to criticize them like I do the Phillies. But yes, the Phillies suck. But they're not as bad as the Sixers situation. He had 9 tackles and 41 snaps, right? Sidney Brown, I believe he did. Doesn't mean anything. The stats in a preseason game aren't as important as what you see eye test on specific plays. Notification fail. I mean, we've been happy. It's been nice, man, Chatter, having you come. No, I'm just kidding with you. Just kidding with you there. We need you to fire up the chat group a little bit. Eagles tomorrow, getting out the snacks. I'll be watching. I'm off. I don't have plans. I can watch it on my couch. The preseason game on Saturday, I was at a barbecue, so I only had about 20 live tweets. When real games happen, I get about 70 live tweets in a game. I'll try to get to about 40 tomorrow. Media plays tonight. Let's go. Delco in Williamsport, Kyle. Love it. So excited to see Delco represented. As a Ridley kid, used to go to the Grand Run Mall right there in Media all the time as a kid. That was a great treat to go to meet the Grand Run Mall versus the Springfield Mall back in the 90s. Now the Springfield Mall is great. The Grand Run Mall doesn't even exist anymore. Is the thumb for Reddick a way to get a deal done under the radar? Interesting. Let's move on to this Haason Reddick conversation. Great segue, Tyrone. So Haason Reddick has a thumb injury, they said yesterday. And he's out. Probably for the rest of camp, they're saying. He will be ready week 1, they're saying. He's saying they said that if week 1 was tomorrow, he'd play. But he's out. Is it something to do with the contract? I don't know. Is it something if he's got a thumb injury, he's got a thumb injury. I don't think they would fake a thumb injury or fake anything on an injury report. That probably wouldn't happen. But it gives them the opportunity to see more Nolan Smith with the ones. It gives them more of an opportunity to be flexible with Dark Barnett. I heard Brandon Graham dropping into coverage yesterday. Josh Sweat dropping into coverage. But I don't think it has to do with the contract. But it will give them an idea where they stand as a team without him. How valuable is Haason Reddick to the team? Big picture in the future, if that makes sense. They know he's valuable this year. He's still good. Even with a bad thumb, you put a club on that hand, he'll get 20 sacks anyway. But I don't know if it has to do with the contract per se. But maybe. They should be reworking him. He after 1 year outplayed that contract. And you know what? Howie Roseman is very, very smart in getting deals done early. His value when he signed was here. His value's up here now. If he has another season like last year, this year, it's going to go up even more. So Howie's probably already thinking, what can we do for Haason Reddick now to keep him happy for a few more years before his value skyrockets even more? Yo, is there anything more fun than the Little League World Series? I absolutely love it. And having a team from the county I grew up in, just down the stone's throw away, it's fantastic. Fantastic. And I watch the Little League World Series every year because I love it. It's fun. It's what sports should be about, the Little League World Series. Just kids having fun. It's not about the money. It's not about, anything other than the game of baseball. And, I do a lot of pizzas at the concession stands for our local Little League World Series here in Kennett, from, Fox's Pizza Den. And sometimes I deliver those pizzas, and I just watch the kids for a second. And a couple of months ago, I was delivering pizzas to the Kennett Little League team, and the game going on. I just happened to catch the right exact moment where this kid in the outfield made a diving catch. And that entire team, the game stopped, and everyone ran up and gave the kid a high five. Even the other team was clapping. That's what baseball's about. That's what sports should be about. Yeah, solid transition to Haason Reddick. I think it's just a precaution. I think he's got something probably torn or a bad ligament in his thumb. It probably hurts. No need to wrap it in the club yet. But if it was game time, they'd be wrapping that up, shooting it up with a little cortisone, and he'd be out there. Howie doesn't like it. Neither does Jalen Hurts. Neither does Nick Sirianni. Neither does Jeffrey Lurie. The Eagles' culture and system and style, the complete opposite of what's going on with the Philadelphia 76ers. Complete and total opposite. You got drama galore. You got James Harden tripling down yesterday afternoon saying that you haven't seen the little bit of how much trouble I could create for you. Or that was released by his agent or whatever. You don't know how bad it could get. You got Joel Embiid sending a message by just changing his Twitter profile and Instagram profile. You got that disaster. And then you got the Eagles and Howie Roseman, how he conducts business. Wow, is there a night and day there? Howie Roseman doesn't like to rock the boat. Howie Roseman likes to beat every. I mean, I saw my man Shane Half, a Chalk Talk, great guy. He's been on the show many times. A great analyst of a lot of stuff in football. And he put out a list of his top 10 defensive ends. And he's got Josh Sweat, I think, is 9 or 10 on his top 10 defensive ends in football. Or edge rushers, so to say. Guys that get after the quarterback. I think he had Haason Reddick 3rd or 4th on the list. And like Josh Sweat, Howie Roseman locked him up 2 years before he hit free agency. Beat the punch to the. Now he's one of the best guys. He's going to need an extension at some point. But Howie Roseman always beats it to the punch, which makes it smarter. He doesn't like contract disputes. He doesn't need T.O. doing sit-ups in his driveway. You know the best way to heal a thumb? I don't even know. Money. That's right. That's right. It does. Money heals me too. Super chat's available. He can wait until next year for that extension. He's 29. He will. He most likely will be waiting, but he's not going to go into next year on a 1-year deal or 1 year left on his deal. He will have to get an extension. And the Haason Reddick thing, it's, do you let him get to that 1-year deal and will they trade him or will they extend him? They probably should extend him, but they drafted Nolan Smith in case they can. Plus, they got a top 10 player at the 30th pick. Live 10 minutes from dude. That town, Adam, has gotta be insane. I've driven through there to the mountains before. Man, that town during the Little League World Series, it's got to be jam packed. You probably can't get a table in a restaurant. You probably don't even want to leave your house for a while during this next week or two. How many running backs do you think we carry? Who's out? My pick is Sermon to be out. So I got my depth chart thing here, okay? And how many guys Howie keeps at every position over the last 4 years. Mr. Ralph I don't even know how to say your name there, but you're working out in the gym there. He's carried 3 running backs each of the last 3 years out of camp. The last time he had 4 was 2019. I do think they carry a 4th now. I didn't think it, but I think it now. They like these running backs. And it is as intensive a battle. When Nick Sirianni says there's a battle going on, he ain't lying. Originally, I thought Sermon was going to make this team. If they keep 4 at this point, it's either Penny or Scott would be my pick to miss this team. But it's probably Sermon. I don't know. I don't think Boston Scott's 2 games against the Giants are worth keeping him on the roster. I think there's potential in Trey Sermon. I just don't know if he's going to be able to do enough to convince the Eagles love to have a couple of those veteran guys. That's why Greg Ward sticks around on the practice squad so many years in a row. Boston Scott's a guy that just sticks around. Trey Sermon might make the practice squad. Trey Sermon's a guy that if he has a really big game tomorrow night, could go a long way. I still think there's a chance that they only keep 3, and if they keep their obviously Swift and Gainwell are making this team. There were plays yesterday on the joint practice, and we got a bunch of comments backing up here. We'll get to it. There were a bunch of plays yesterday during the joint practice where you had both guys in the backfield at the same time. There was a couple goal line plays where you had both in the backfield. And when you got both Swift and Gainwell in the backfield, defenses don't know what the hell to do. They don't. And I love it. But that third and fourth guy, I could say Penny will get cut, but Penny's just got so much potential if he could stay healthy. But his contract's so cuttable. And that's why he's like one of my odd men out. Trey Sermon's got potential to be a pounded, kind of guy. Goal line situations, 1 yard, 4th and 1 situations. He's got that potential. But Boston Scott's that veteran guy. If they keep 4 Sermons out, if they keep 3, Sermon might be that third guy. Does that make sense? I don't know if it does. That's just my gut feeling. Not about the money. I'm definitely gambling on Little League. Dude, if you're gambling on Little League, first off, I didn't know you could. I'm going to go check the DraftKings account after the show. And if I can lay a shekel on media, why not? I would love to see what media's odds are. Let me tell you something. I love it. I love to see Delco represented. I do. In my opinion, it would behoove Eagles to get an extension for Reddick sooner than later, or else it will become a hard. Exactly, and that's what Howie's used to doing. But Howie also knows what's Reddick, 29, going to be 30 next year. So his next contract, if he played out next year, he'd be 31. Are you really going to pay a 31 edge rusher, linebacker, big money? Howie's got to make that decision. That's why you've got Nolan Smith. You got Josh Sweat, who's still a little younger. Look, you can't become I know it's hard as fans to become emotionally attached to players. But Howie Roseman's a businessman and the general manager, president of this team. He does not become emotionally attached. That's why he let Hargrave go. And letting Hargrave go was the right decision when you see what he got. Are you going to give Haason Reddick next offseason a 5-year, $90 million deal at his age when you've got Nolan Smith? Probably not. But Howie Roseman will know not to let him get to free agency where if you can't get that extension done, he'll find a way to trade. Dude, a team would trade for Haason Reddick. I'm not encouraging Haason Reddick to go. I don't want to see Haason Reddick go anywhere. But you bringing Hargrave into the situation of the conversation brings a different avenue to the topic. And you got to understand, Howie's only going to pay so much for each position at a certain age. And if Reddick is looking for a $90, $100 million contract for his next contract, I hate to break it to you, Drew. Haason Reddick won't be here after this year then. That's the unfortunate part of the business. As much as I say their running backs are a dime a dozen, they're only like 20 elite edge. That's true. Unfortunately, Harden is using basketball to fuel his star lifestyle. He's really not into it. That's it. I mean, he's using his star status in China right now. Pay your edges. But are you going to pay your edges? Are you going to pay a 31-year-old edge a 5-year deal? Probably not. What is up, Adam? What is going on? Shout out to my man. Bills have Groot, Greg Rousseau. Yeah? Is he really Groot? Does he grow arms out of his limbs? I will go and yell and taunt these kids because my baseball career, yeah. I don't think anybody in this chat conversation or the host baseball career turned out as we hoped it would. When I turned that double play in 8th grade, I thought the Phillies were going to be calling me up for a minor league contract right away. Nah, didn't happen. Swift, Kenny Gainwell, Rashad Penny, and Boston Scott. It seems like the most logical way it's going to play out. But I still go back to the Rashad Penny contract is very cuttable. If Trey Sermon can impress in these next 2 preseason games and in some more practices. Boston Scott, I love the guy. Huge part of Eagles history and lore. But I think he's very replaceable. I don't think he does anything other than be a veteran presence and a guy that's been around this organization for a long time. His presence in the organization based off of what he gets paid, like $1 million or $2 billion, is valuable. But what he does on the field, I think he's more valuable in the locker room than he is on the field, honestly. I don't think he does anything. Big nasty Jalen Carter dominated in joint practice. Absolutely. What do you guys think of Jalen Carter being lined up? We hinted at it yesterday. We touched on it yesterday a little bit. Jalen Carter being lined up as a defensive end. Could you just imagine? You think he's going to be the defensive tackle. You're a left tackle, and you're like, all right, I got to worry about Josh Sweat and Haason Reddick. Then all of a sudden, here comes big 4,000-pound Jalen Carter, who's got swim moves, club moves, and just the strongest man on the field, comes up and lines up opposite of you. Damn, that's scary. If you're a left tackle and you don't know if you're going to be facing Josh Sweat, Haason Reddick, Jalen Carter, Milton Williams, any of these guys. I don't know. That's got to be a scary proposition. I love it. And I think it's a really interesting thing. As far as wide receivers, I really believe Devontae Smith will get 4 and 12 touchdowns. Yeah, dude, I said it before, Tyrone. I've been saying it I said it early in the offseason before I was even on Philadelphia Sports Network when I was on my previous network. Devontae Smith will end the season ranked higher among wide receivers, just pure rankings, fantasy stats, all different rankings, higher than A.J. Brown. It's not a knock on A.J. Brown, but I think Devontae Smith is a better wide receiver. And I stand by it. You heard it here first from me, and now you first in the comments. Devontae Smith is a better wide receiver. Everyone's going to realize what me and you see, Tyrone. But I'm curious on wide receivers. We kept 5 last year. Obviously, the big 2, Quez Watkins is the third. Last year, Pascal. This year, OZ, Zalachek, and Britton Covey. Is Britton Covey on a roster bubble? He hasn't practiced in 2 weeks. You got Tyree Cleveland impressing as a big-bodied wide receiver. You've got Nagata, great in practices, not so good in the game. Do they keep a 6 wide receiver? Does Britton Covey? I know he's a punt returner, but you can find they've been working a bunch of guys out at punt returner while he's been sidelined with an injury. Is Britton Covey a bubble spot right now? It's hard to imagine it, but it's possible. Exactly. I'm emotionally attached to the badge on the sleeve, not the name on the back. That's all, Davey. And I'm the same way. Side story. It was something when Michael Vick got signed with the Eagles way back in the day. I got told by this one guy that used to come into my pizza shop, why won't you stop watching the Eagles? Because they signed, like, dude, I obviously have dogs. I rescue. I foster. I'm not going to stop rooting for the logo, the shield of the Eagles, just because of one player. Just because Double Herrera played for the Phillies, I wasn't going to stop rooting for the Phillies just because whatever. No, I cheer for the team. I don't have to like every player on the team, but I cheer for the team. And that's what I want. I want the success of the team. And if Haason Reddick going is best for the future of the team, it is what it is. It's not great. It's not something I want. Sometimes, if you remember the Phillies and Ruben Amaro, who I've shouted out Ruben Amaro on Twitter a million times. Ruben, I want you on this show. I want to talk Phillies with you on this show. I love you. But he made a bunch of mistakes making emotional decisions for Phillies fans signing contracts to players past their prime because of the 2008 World Series win. We don't want Howie doing that, and Howie doesn't do that. He knows when it's time to say, deuces. I agree with you somewhat. If they wait until the end of the season, he gets 20 sacks, he's out for sure. You could pay a 30-plus-year-old edge rusher if he's producing, but there's a point that you can't afford him. Exactly. And that's all I'm getting at. There is a point where you just can't pay him. Hargrave got to the point where you couldn't pay him. So you go get Jalen Carter. Now you've got Nolan Smith waiting in the wings. Now you can have Nolan Smith and Haason Reddick on the team. But if you can't afford him, you've already got his replacement lined up, ready to go. We also can't be the next team to give up on Reddick, but I'm not worried about how he's getting the deal done. 30 is the new, well, what's the new 42? Because I don't feel 42, and I definitely don't feel 32. Let the players tell it. I'd find a 3-year deal for him. Hey, if they can find a way to make it work, of course we want Haason Reddick to stay here. This is not a we are cutting Haason Reddick segment. Some reason I feel like the comments and what I'm saying about it, if somebody's watching this show for the first time, might think I'm not a Haason Reddick fan. I'm not. I'm just being realistic about the business aspect of the game of football. And we got a lot of people watching right now. Make sure you hit that like button. We got 13 likes on YouTube, 4 on Facebook right now. Likes help that algorithm grow. Keep growing this show every morning. Like I said, between all 3 platforms, over 600 people watched this show live or on replay yesterday. Let's keep pounding that like button for me. I greatly appreciate that. On my on-base percentage was insane as a kid. So was mine. I could draw a walk because I crunched down into a hitter's position where there was no strike zone. I couldn't hit a beach ball as a kid. I could catch a ball, I could throw a ball, but I could not hit a beach ball if you throw it at me. That's where my career ended. When first batting practice of the year, you got 30 swings, and I swung and missed 30 times straight. Not good. We hope Nolan Smith can become Reddick, but the potential to be is definitely there. Very true. Very true. He had the potential to go in the top 10 of the draft. We got him at 30. We've got that backup plan there. There's no guarantees. We think, we assume. We've seen the college tape. We've seen the hype, the comments coming out of practice at training camp. But until that first game and that clock starts ticking, it's a total different ballgame. Depth at wide receiver and cornerback is wild. Well, see, the thing is, let me go back to my depth chart here. So I think we're top heavy at wide receiver for sure. And I'm still concerned. Mister, we're just going to call you Mister because I don't know how to pronounce your name here. I'm concerned if one of those top 2 guys go down. What happens? Without a shadow of a doubt. Now, cornerback, I think the cornerback depth is better than we realize. Obviously, Slay and Bradbury. I see they have so much faith in their cornerback depth that the last 2 days of practice, the joint practices, James Bradbury is lined up at linebacker to cover a tight end. Now, if Jonathan Gannon would have thought of that last year, maybe Bradbury would have been covering Travis Kelce in the Super Bowl. That's a really smart idea. Where was that? But you still got Avonte Maddox in slot. Zach McPherson, who they are high on, I'm not. You've got Kellen Ringo. You got Ricks. You got Greedy Williams. You got depth there. They kept 6 cornerbacks last year. They are keeping 6 again this year. If they only keep 4 safeties, maybe they even keep a 7th cornerback. Remember, they kept 8 linebackers last year, but with Sean Bradley on IR for the year, they might only keep 7. So that opens up an extra spot on the defense. I'm actually less concerned about cornerback than I am at wide receiver. Now, there's a lot of unproven with Ringo and Ricks and McPherson even going into his 3rd year. But Slade, Bradbury, Maddox, Greedy Williams, I'm good there. Those guys, that's good enough for me. I'm still, my biggest concerns on this Eagles team are wide receiver depth, linebacker depth. That would pretty much be my main 2 concerns. Maybe their 3rd tight end. I don't know. I know I'm one of the rares thinking that. A better wide receiver is a loaded comment. I have watched a lot of film and surpassed. Oh, again, but they're also 2 totally different wide receivers. AJ Brown. AJ Brown's like that TO body. He just out-muscles everybody. But Devontae Smith does wide receiver things better. He runs crisper routes. He attacks the ball because he's so small better than A.J. Brown. He high points a ball better than A.J. Brown because he's got to, because he's not bigger than everybody else. So they're 2 totally different wide receivers. It's not a knock on A.J. Brown at all. I'm just very high on Devontae. I didn't want to draft Jalen Carter because I thought anyone who gets in trouble right before the draft is dumb. Agree. Well, how'd that work out for Laramie Tunsil? Remember the video of him with the face mask on, literally on draft night came out? And he's become one of the best tackles in football. He was supposed to be one of the best tackles in the draft. He dropped because of that. And we see how that happened. Worked out just fine for him. What's up, my man? Bernard, Edge of Philly Sports, one of the hardest working guys outside of me in this game. Always doing great shows. AM in the PM in the AM. You got your post-game shows. You were on the show a couple weeks ago. My man, I appreciate you checking in here. But I meant to say, even though he is small, he has super good hands. Smitty does. And that's the thing. Like, if you're a smaller wide receiver, you got to high point that ball and you got to attack it. You can't let the ball come to you. A.J. Brown, everything's so easy for him because he's 8 feet tall and 300 pounds and runs a 4.2 40. Well, sarcasm there, but it's just easy for him. A.J. Brown also takes plays off. Devontae Smith's a better blocking wide receiver. If you actually go back, man, Cheddar, and look, snap percentage on the field, A.J. Brown was on the field less than Devontae Smith last year. Because there's certain plays that you just don't need him on the field because he just doesn't do it. Keith Beckham, what's up, my man? Boston Scott is a cheap utility player that performs when called on and doesn't chirp about reps. And I think that's a great point on why he survived so long. He's a leader in the locker room. Players like him. He's a team player, and whatever for the shield, whatever for that logo, he'll do. And that when you're making his kind of money, that's important. He knows his role. Kick returner occasionally, punt returner even rarer, run the ball occasionally, get big reps against the Giants. That's probably why he stays as the fourth running back. I don't think he's the fourth best running back on this team, but all encompassing, he keeps his job because of all that. Yeah, I mean, we're not going to get into that, but yeah, I get what you're saying, and I agree. I could get hit by a pitch like no other. Yeah, you get the little Jimmy elbow, it just jerks out. Oops, hit by pitch. AJ is better than Davante on a physicality alone. Yes, because he's bigger and stronger. But Davante does certain things a little bit better, in my opinion. And we're going to see that more this year. Stop making up. Reddick is getting extended and a pay raise. Stop making up goofy numbers. Well, I'm not saying he's making $100 million. I'm just comparing his situation to the Javon Hargrave situation. At some point, you got to say, maybe not. I don't want him to go. I hope they figure it out. And maybe the original question from Tyrone, like 25 minutes ago, was, is the thumb injury just kind of like let's work on some things behind the scenes? Doubt it, but I get it. Here's the lineup. Let's see what Tyrone's got. Carter at the end. Graham, Cox, Reddick, and Smith. All on the same side. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. You got your 6 defensive back, linebacker, cornerback, safeties, whatever. I mean, it's a scary group. There's no offensive line with a tight end or a running back helping out, or are both helping out. You can put 7 guys to block those 5, and still 3 guys are getting single covered, single blocked, and they're getting through. That's an unstoppable force. You can be as high on Davante as you want, but he's not better than AJ. Hey. I know it's not a popular topic. Dude, when I put that as a post, I put a video out on Twitter like in February or March, and I said how high I was with Davante. Man, it was like 500,000 people engaged in the tweet, and I had to literally turn the notifications off on the tweet because there's about 300,000 people that agreed with me and about 400,000 people that didn't agree with me, and then another 100,000 people that I thought I was an idiot for even suggesting because it was going to start trouble amongst the team. Dude, no one on the Eagles saw the tweet, I'm sure. But look, I just think Devontae Smith is going to be us. And we forget also, A.J. Brown is only 1 year older than Devontae. A.J. Brown is still so young. Is he 24, 25? He's only entering his 5th year in the league. I'm acting like A.J. Brown's at the end of his career or something. I'm just a big Smitty guy. I love him. Supposedly, Smitty worked in the offseason on his athleticism and speed. Hey, if he's better, if he got even better, maybe he sees what Devontae's doing in Campbell. He's like, damn, I can't let skinny Batman be better than me. And if that's the case, look, the thing with the Eagles, man, the culture of this Eagles team, and it's been 10 minutes since I said it. We're still stuck on 13 likes on YouTube. Hit that like button, please. YouTube, Facebook, please. I greatly appreciate it. Jalen Hurts has created a thing where everybody wants to get better all the time in every aspect. And I love it. There's no days off for anybody. Smith is great. No disrespect meant. I agree. Smith is greater than AJ by the end of this year. And that's all I'm saying. Like, I think he is already, but y'all all see it by the end of the year. You will. Yeah, most people would take AJ. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think a better comparison to A.J. Brown is Anquan Bolden, just a little faster, straight speed. T.O. was a real technician and got separation on top. Yeah. I was just talking about T.O., the body, the physicality type, but Anquan Bolden was there too. Anquan Bolden was a hell of a wide receiver for a long time in the NFL. I don't think Anquan Bolden gets the respect he deserves in NFL circles when we talk wide receivers. He ain't no Hall of Famer or anything like that, but he was a damn good wide receiver for a long time in the NFL. Brandon, what's up, my man? Smitty, easily my favorite Eagle. Dude, I mean, I don't buy jerseys often. I'm not into it. If I do, I go to DH Gate or some knockoff site on eBay. But, man, I would love a Smitty jersey. I would. I would not mind him. I love the guy. I just love the way he plays. I do. I couldn't hit in baseball because I'm farsighted. It's hard for me to get. I mean, I didn't have that excuse, but sure, I'll make that excuse to gauge the distance when the ball was getting close. That sucks. That does suck, though. It really does. Um, did someone say competition of players would be bad for team if they? No, I don't know. I don't know. Hop in chat if not. No, I don't know. Everyone wants to get better. Sixers would never. Sixers got so much drama, Brandon. Yeah, here we go with the Eagles. I mean, I thought I wrote it down. I didn't. Even Jason Kelsey, man, with the Jalen Hurts type quote, something I wanted to bring up, and it's something I love, and it's something I want to bring up here. Jordan Davis spoke yesterday about the struggles in his rookie year and what he did in the offseason to get better, but he also addressed the mental aspect of his struggles. He called it imposter syndrome. And I don't know if you know what imposter syndrome is. I never heard it called that, but it's basically having self-doubt at all times in life. I mean, I have self-doubt every time I click go live. Am I good enough to do this? Am I good enough to keep your attention? Am I good enough to carry this conversation with you guys? Imposter syndrome. Look it up and look at Jordan Davis's comments yesterday. For a guy like Jordan Davis to admit it, it's, you know, when Lane Johnson talks about his mental struggles, it helps those that have them realize it's okay, that you're not alone. When the stars have it and the stars admit it. And Jordan Davis, not just working to physically be better, get in better shape, but Jordan Davis spending time in his offseason working and seeing a psychiatrist and getting better mentally can make you better physically. And I love it. Every player on this team is doing everything every minute to get better. You just played in the Super Bowl, and you want to get better because it wasn't good enough. And that starts with Jalen Hurts, how he leads by example. And I love it. A.J. Brown, as Kyle said up here, working offseason, you know, to get better. Everybody wants to be better. Devontae, as far as a straight skill, is better. Being bigger is not a skill. He can be great across the middle, but his sideline work is second to none. Yeah, absolutely. Really, AJ is a beast for sure, but Smith runs better routes. I've said that. He gains separation better. Absolutely. High points it. I've said that. He toe taps better, blocks better too. Look, we are blessed. I mean, it's not that long ago where we had Terrence Small and Charles Johnson or Todd Stinkston or James Thrash or Riley Cooper as our wide receivers. Just think about it. We've come so far with our wide receiver group. Let's just be blessed and happy we've got two of the greatest in football. Okay, Brown's 26, Smith is 24. Super young. Super. And Devontae Smith is going to get paid this next offseason. Great at high point. It's an important skill to have, especially for somebody that's not 6'2", 6'3". We're going to have to pay Smitty. That's the thing. Both Smitty and Reddick got to get paid this offseason. If you can only keep one, who you keeping? You got to keep Smitty, right? Yeah. Drew, every time a job hires, I think, yeah, I mean, if you don't get imposter syndrome, you're lying to yourself. but you, I love, they're going to find out I don't understand. I love that end part of you. Like, I'm reading the first half. I'm like, yeah, I get it. You're right on par with me here. But not. Then you read the final joke, and you're like, yeah, I see where you're really going with this. All right. Freddie Mitchell, 4th and 26. That is right. The people's champ. Maybe somebody should shout out Freddie Mitchell. Get Freddie Mitchell to come on the morning show with me. Wouldn't that be funny? I was on a cruise ship in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean watching the Gamecast, early versions of the Gamecast. What was that, 03, 04, 4th and 26? Early Gamecast where it was just a computer screen moving a football on a dial-up modem in the middle of the ocean. So when you think of slow internet, talk about slow internet when the 4th and 26 happened. And I was in a little business center on a cruise ship, and I screamed at the Gamecast computer screen. Screamed at it. I don't even know why the ship didn't. I think the internet was so bad because the TV signals on a cruise ship come through a satellite. We were in the middle of nowhere. You couldn't even get the satellite feed for the football game. So I had to watch the Gamecast on a computer. I have emailed and messaged Jaws multiple times. Can't get him back on. He hasn't responded to me. Guy's ghosted me. Got to ask him about his Nate Sudfeld thoughts again. when he thought Nate Sudfeld was great. All right, let's reset here, guys. We got the final 25 minutes of the show here. Hit that like button on all social media platforms. You're watching Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network, the only show in Philly where your opinions actually matter. And not only do they actually matter, they're all that matters. My opinions don't matter. It's all about setting the table for you guys to have the platform. That's what we do here every single morning, Monday through Friday, 8:15 a.m., sometimes at 8 a.m. So turn those notifications, that little bell at the bottom of your screen. Click it. It tells you when we go live. Smith, gotta pay Smith, but gotta hope we can keep Reddick. Although I know it should be easier to replace edge talent than constant nose tackle pressure. In Carter, we pray. I love it. I mean, it encompasses. I think the show's over. Let's go. We're done. I mean, this says it all right here, Mister, for whatever. Yeah. You've also already drafted Haason Reddick's replacement. If you come to that. Pastor Randall. You want Pastor Randall on the show. Everybody wants me to get these guests, but now Twitter's changed to X, and now you can't DM people. I can't get people to come on unless I pay for the extended Twitter version, which I've been against doing, and I don't make enough money. $8 a month to get, or $11 a month to get the extended version. I can't DM people now. Tyler, see, we spent this whole show. We haven't talked offensive line. I mean, we've got a show tomorrow, too, with nothing to talk about. Maybe we'll save some of that Sixers and Joel Embiid talk for tomorrow. You know, whatever. We'll talk about the Media Little League. We'll crush the manager for their pitching change decisions in the Little League World Series tomorrow, maybe. But Tyler Steen looks great. There was a moment of that game where Tyler Steen had blocked his guy 5 yards down the field, and he was blocking another player at the same time. But he's still going to be a bench guy and a reserve guy at this point. Tyler Steen impressing. It's another reason why I think maybe they don't keep 10 offensive linemen this year. There's a couple guys on this offensive line that are really impressing in camp. There's an opportunity for them to cut one of those 10 roster spots from the offensive line and give it to a 4th running back, and give it to a 6 wide receiver. Just a thought process for you guys to think about. Watch some of these guys that are impressing, and if they impress so much that it makes Howie be like, all right, well, I can keep an extra guy here or there. I don't want to lose this guy to another team. I'll keep this guy, and we can cut excess elsewhere. Listen to me as you're making thumbnails. Well, make me some thumbnails too. I need a new intro video. That's what I need. Devontae Smith moves with the agility of a basketball player. I think I've actually seen videos of Devontae Smith playing basketball in charity events before, but he's tough enough to handle the hits in football. I mean, knock on wood, because we don't want to jinx anybody with injury. But what was the knock on Devontae Smith coming out in college? That he was too small. That he was never going to handle the rigmarole of an NFL season. He was never going to be able to handle the hits from safeties. Well, he's taking some big hits, and he gets right up. He protects himself. If you watch Devontae Smith take a hit, even if it's a hard hit, he protects his body, his head, everything so well. There's a skill in protecting yourself when you're an undersized athlete in all sports. Every contact sport, there's a skill in protecting yourself. Can't go a day without bringing up Tyree Jackson's name, can we? Yeah. Move on. He ain't making this team. They're not keeping 4 tight ends, and he ain't making the 3rd tight end role. I'll take Dan Arnold over Tyree Jackson. Our second string O-line is starting there. Honestly, Tyler Steen, Jack Driscoll, Opeta, Sills. Who am I missing? Jack Driscoll, Steen, Opeta, Sills. Hold on, I have the depth chart up here. I'm missing. Who am I missing? Opeta, Steen. Oh, Dennis Kelly, Jack Driscoll, Sills. Hell, some of our 3rd string guys. Right now, Jack Driscoll's listed as a 3rd stringer. I've said there's a chance that Jack Driscoll gets cut. With them bringing in Dennis Kelly and Josh Andrews, there's a chance that Jack Driscoll does not make this team. He hasn't grown enough. Now, he knows the system, and he's well-liked by Jeff Stoutland, which goes a long way. But there is a chance that he doesn't make this team. But he would start on other teams, and he's listed as a 3rd stringer right now. That's how deep this team is on the offensive line. What logo is on Phil's merch? Well, I got a picture. I forgot about this. Yeah, I got all these little shirts here. And I got the Trending in the AM logo up there. I got a shirt up on my merch site. It says support local podcasters. I got that great Jalen Hurts Aim Higher shirt, my Fairway to Heaven, which I haven't done a fairway in a few weeks, but we'll get back to that soon. It's all look me up on Twitter. It's in the bio on Twitter. But tight end is leaving a little bit to divide. After God, dude, thank you for bringing this up. At least I'm not the only one. Dallas Goedert's missed 12 games over the last 3 years. 5 last year. Jack Stoll had a nice little back end zone catch yesterday in practice, in the joint practice. But he's okay. He's a blocker. He's not great. Calcaterra. Yo, what about the Cleveland Browns, man? Their social media blowing up Twitter with some safety breaking up a pass against Jack Stoll in practice yesterday when it was clearly a passive interference. He clearly hit Calcaterra early. And then somebody on the Browns or some Super Browns podcast or a reporter sharing it out saying, look at him lock down Dallas Goedert when it was clearly Grant Calcaterra. Calcaterra probably doesn't make this team. Dan Arnold might, but I don't know if I've heard one reporter mention Dan Arnold's name, which means he's not doing anything with Tanner McKee or Marcus Mariota. I severely worry if Dallas Goedert. Now, law of averages, eventually Dallas Goedert's got to play a full season or close to it, doesn't he? Like, we really got to eventually, he's either got to play a full season or we got to talk about Dallas Goedert and being injury prone. They moved Steen to right guard in game. He performed decent. There was one play when he was at left tackle early in the game where he struggled. He got in between two guys coming at him, and he didn't know which one to block, so he blocked neither of them. But outside that one play early in the game, Steen had a great game. Yeah, I mean, once Kelsey makes the retirement call, Juergens is your center. But Juergens, he struggled at times, but he's also impressed at times. So they're going Juergens at right guard. There's no doubt about it. Devontae can relax his body at the point of contact. Is that what it is? He relaxes it. He just protects himself so well. Dan Arnold's not who I thought he was. I never thought he was anything. So, that being said, I never thought he was anything special to begin with. There's some people in this chat that love them some Dan Arnold, but it's not me. You got news for me. Dude, you got that news from me. I've been saying it since the first day of camp. I've been saying it since they signed him. They signed Rashad Penny and Greedy Williams to very cuttable contracts. And Terrell Edmonds, even to an extent. Contracts that if the rookie's impressed or if somebody stepped up their game, that it wasn't going to hurt the team if they cut Penny, Williams, or Edmonds. Now, I think Edmonds makes the team, but Greedy Williams is on a bubble, and so is Penny at this point. I think there's a serious chance at both of them. I've brought this up before. I think Zach Ertz got hurt in camp, actually. Maybe not. I don't know. Zach Ertz would be a backup. He would have to accept a third-string role on this team because it's Goedert and it's Stoll as the blocker. But Ertz's job would be only when Goedert goes down, or if you want to run some special 12 personnel here or there. He would have to understand he's not coming here to be the main guy. The Browns O-line still crying about Josh Sweat knocking the ball out of Watson's hand. Look, everybody's always going to cry about the Eagles because the Eagles are better than everybody else. It is what it is. You had to expect some chirpiness from the Eagles. If the Eagles did not come out and play so fiery yesterday, after having a bad practice the day before, I would have been using this show to be like, aren't we a little concerned that they can't rack it up that intensity level a little bit more? It's important. It's important that they ratcheted up that intensity level a little bit. Very important. It ain't dirty. Now, I don't know what happened with Dirk Barnett getting into a scuffle. Did he punch somebody? I don't even know what happened. But guys, everybody's going to chirp about the Eagles because we're better than everybody else. And they know it. Arnold, camp body. I mean, some people would say that he's got a chance to make the team. Some would say not. I just don't think he's ever impressed enough in the regular season with any teams he's been with. Hell, I'd rather give Greg Calcaterra or Tyree Jackson another shot over Dan Arnold, honestly, at this point. At least you got some youth there and some potential there. Can't wait to see this defensive scheme. Can't really tell anything about the defense. Exactly. And look, we're not learning much in these practices and in games. But what we're seeing, the very vanilla defense they're running in these practices and preseason games is enough to tell me that it's going to be a scary defense. I'm still concerned about communication. I'm still concerned about Sean Desai. Hell, I still got a little bit of concern about about Nakobe Dean, but man, if what we're hearing so far is any indication, defense is going to be special. This defense is going to be very special. We've hit 20 likes on YouTube. Thank you very much. 7 on Facebook. That's 27 likes total so far. Keep them coming in. We got 15 minutes left in this show. Don't worry. There'll be another show tomorrow, but we got 15 minutes here. Well, The Rock says this. Nuh-uh. We don't talk The Rock. We talk Yeah. Should we massage his ego too soon? Whose ego are we massaging? You got to massage a lot of egos. Dark Barnett, walking flag. Half those flags, though, aren't real flags, in my opinion. Sorry. He gets flagged for reputation, but he's living up to that reputation in camp so far. Yeah, if you know what I'm saying, you're cool. It's the same guy. Isn't Ertz on the? That's why I thought I heard he was hurt in camp. I could be wrong, but yeah, I think he is. Yeah, Deshaun Watson. Look, I saw some reporter or beat guy or podcaster yesterday tweeted out, and I've been saying this since day one. There was backtrack. There was an opportunity or a lot of discussions that the Eagles should have attacked bringing in Deshaun Watson into Philly before Russell Wilson said no. I didn't want him for his off-the-field issues. But also I said, Deshaun Watson, there was a point before Deshaun Watson had to sit out a year and all his personal issues, there was a point where Deshaun Watson, people were putting him as the third or fourth best quarterback in football. And I said, no, he ain't that good. He's a good quarterback. Deshaun Watson, to me, isn't much better than Dak Prescott. If he is even better than Dak Prescott. Deshaun Watson, he's in that Kyler Murray. He just doesn't have that winning edge, in my opinion. Yeah, he can throw good football. He's mobile. He can throw a little bit. But I saw some people now, after these two joint practices, start to tweet out the same thing. Maybe Deshaun Watson isn't that good. Do you think Cleveland regrets giving that contract to Deshaun Watson, trading what they traded for Deshaun Watson? He's just not a winner, in my opinion. I don't think he is. And I don't know if anybody else feels the same way about him. And I'm seeing it in these joint practices. I just don't see it. I don't see the fire. I don't see intensity. He definitely doesn't have that Mamba mentality like Jalen Hurts has, without a shadow of a doubt. All right, Tyrone, you're saying Hurts is back now? Okay. I don't know. I do know he got hurt at some point. Yeah. Linebacker, I know. I'm concerned, too. I think it's a defensive too hard to learn. He's been taking mental reps for a year now, still not making an impact. Yeah, we'll see. We're going to learn a lot about Nakobe Dean real fast. Week 1, New England, Ezekiel Elliott, that fire of a quarterback, Mac Jones. We're going to learn a lot about him week 1. But, hey, my man, thanks for tuning in. First time I've seen you in the comments, man. Every day, 8:15 a.m., we are here. Sometimes even earlier, talking anything you want. We talk other things other than football, too. Baseball, basketball, occasionally those sports. Little League World Series, we got it all. But thank you very much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it today. Deshaun was amazing in 2019, was he? Did they win in the playoffs? I don't know. Did they lose that playoff game? I don't know. I don't know if he was amazing. Amazing. I'm reaching on Watson. I don't know. I don't think he's special. I think he's good. I think he could prove eventually to crack that top 10 quarterback list again. But if I'm making my top 10 quarterback list, he ain't in it. No. I'd probably put Dak Prescott ahead of him right now. Yeah, I would. I wouldn't put Kyler Murray ahead of him. Kyler Murray and his sports bra can rest in the back 20 of my list. Always listen down under, my man. I always appreciate the down under check-in. Yeah, I don't think it's not even just the off the field issues. I'm looking at Deshaun Watson strictly on the field. The Browns aren't a great team. They're not a bad team, though. They've got a great running back in Nick Chubb. They had a great second running back in Kareem Hunt. They got Amari Cooper, a really strong wide receiver, and they're a very mid team. Why? I mean, I don't watch enough Browns football to know. But maybe, just maybe, he's just good, not great. The what? 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 Dude, I use that every day of my life. The what? Someone says something to me, I just say what? And then they repeat it, and I say what? And I do it till they catch on. They don't know it's from Stone Cold, but they eventually catch on to them just being an a-hole. But that's that. Cleveland regrets nothing. But honestly, it's been too long since I've watched him play. Yeah, I think that's part of it too. That there's a lot of people back in 18, 19 who's better, Wentz or Watson. And I had Wentz as number 4, and I think I had Watson at 6 that year going in 2020. I just don't think he's ever gotten any better. And he's regressed. And like I said, a young quarterback, you can have all the skills in the world. But if you can't lead your team, you need to. I've said it so many times, and this is why Jalen Hurts is so high on my list since day one. Because he's a leader of men. He's a general. He's a field general. He elevates his team offensively and defensively. He makes everybody want to be better. Deshaun Watson doesn't do that. He doesn't have the intangibles. Sure, he throws a nice football. He has a good spiral. He can scramble. But can he lead? And that's what you want in your quarterback. Watson is washed. I also don't like it when a football player has to sit out more than a year and then they come back. It's never easy. The Browns are a lock to make the playoffs. Playoffs? For who, for what? Every time I have to say playoffs or practice, I'm going to say for who, for what. Remember, I said that yesterday. Are they? They would have to. The Bengals are probably winning the division. I don't know if Pittsburgh got any better, but the Ravens have got to be better if Lamar plays this year, you would think. I don't know if they're a lock. The Jets, the Dolphins, the Browns, the Ravens, the Steelers, the Chargers, the Broncos, all those teams are vying for wildcard teams. And I probably missed a few too. I don't know if they're a lock. And if you think they are, I respect your opinion. But I don't know. There's a lot of very mid teams or slightly above mid teams that are fighting for those wildcard spots. It's going to be a dog fight, the dog pound, catch that there, for who makes the wild card in the AFC. Kyler Murray thinking he's Brandon Chastain. Something like that. He looked like a cross between Brandon Chastain and Ezekiel Elliott there in that picture. Eating a little too much of that chunky soup. A quarterback needs to be 100% focused on craft like Hurts, Mahomes, not Allen. I'm glad a Buffalo guy bashing his Buffalo quarterback. Why would you chase ladies at 26 over? I don't even. You can pull. All right. We don't need to worry about the chasing. Look, the NFL. There's a lot of those teams in that Cleveland Brown category. I just don't know if Deshaun Watson has the mental makeup to push his team over the top. Exactly. It is a tough. They have a shot. Yeah, the Browns are not. It's not. It's just, even who's the worst team in that AFC? What is it? The AFC North. Is it the Bengals, the Browns, the Ravens, the Steelers? I mean, you've got a chance in that division where every team is 9-8 or better. The Bengals, they got Joe Burrow. They've proven it. They've gotten to a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, I mean, you got to say that they're going to be one of the favorites every year for the rest of Joe Burrow's career now. Lamar Jackson, I don't think Lamar Jackson's a top 5 quarterback, but he's just outside the top 5. Lamar Jackson got paid. He's got a lot to prove. The Ravens are always going to be really good as long as Lamar Jackson's there. I would take Lamar Jackson over Deshaun Watson, even though he's quit on his team 10 times out of 10. I think he's got a little bit more of an edge. He's an MVP. And the Steelers, Mike Tomlin is like the Jalen Hurts of the Steelers. He'll never let his team be bad. More than once. Like, he's just one of the best coaches in football. And Kenny Pickett will get better this year. They've got some young talent. We'll see. Who in the NFC outside of the East gives us trouble? Well, the 49ers. The Vikings are going to be good. They probably win that division. We'll beat them week 2 while I'm in Mexico. We'll be doing a live Eagles-Vikings preview show from Cancun, Mexico. If the Wi-Fi at the resort's good. Detroit's going to be better. I'm not sold on Seattle doing what they did last year with Geno Smith 2 years in a row, But I think the Rams, if healthy, the Rams will be better. Detroit's that sleeper team. And I know Tyrone's saying that Detroit too. They are that sleeper team. But they got to prove it, really, honestly. They do. Jared Goff's a good quarterback. The defense better. I like what Dan Campbell does leading that team. I'm just not sure if they have enough talent. Lions take the Vikings this year? I mean, they could. I know a lot of people aren't Kirk Cousins fans. He's a very good game manager. He's a better version of Jimmy Garoppolo. It'll be interesting to see how they fill the void of Dalvin Cook now being with the Jets. If who they've gotten can fill that void. Justin Jefferson is still one of the 3 or 4 best players in all football, all positions. I just think he could have been an Eagle. We could have had him instead of A.J. Brown. I love A.J. Brown, but interesting. Honestly, if we got Justin Jefferson, then we don't have A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith at this point. So that's that. The Rams stink. I'm not sure if they do. I think they do. They might. But I also think they're literally, that's that Super Bowl hangover. Maybe Matthew Stafford's got one less thing. They still got Cooper Kupp. They still have Aaron Donald, 2 of the best players in the NFL. They still got a very innovative coach, who I think is slightly overrated, but he's still a really good coach. Man, if the fork's in them, that stinks because they got no draft picks till 2097. But Cousin is whiny. But he's a good 1 o'clock quarterback in the regular season. Puts up decent fantasy stats, if you care about that. He's a guy I always target in fantasy. They'll be sellers at the deadline on the Rams. They might be. I want to give the Rams 4 or 5 weeks before I say stick a fork in them. They're done. That would be my gut reaction. Let's just give them a couple weeks of the season. Rams are bottom. Maybe. Half their T sign. Look, it'll be interesting. I know we're not going to do it, but everyone's going to say Aaron Donald, if he becomes available at the trade deadline, what are you going to pay for Aaron Donald? Should the Eagles? I mean, we got a plethora of defensive linemen, but then you go get Aaron Donald, make it even crazier. Would you want Aaron Donald in the Eagles? And what would you trade for him? And if you don't trade for him, a team like Dallas might trade for him. And if Dallas doesn't trade for him, San Francisco might trade for him. And if San Francisco doesn't trade for him, Detroit might trade for him. And if Detroit doesn't trade for him, KC might trade for him. All these teams that we could be battling in the playoffs or the Super Bowl could trade for him. And sometimes you trade for a player on the last year of their deal to block other teams from trading for him. It's just interesting. It's something we got only 2 minutes left in the show. There's no overtime. There's no super chat. Like it says at the bottom, $5 super chat equals 5 minutes of overtime. $10, change the topic. $20, you're my best friend forever. But what would you trade for Aaron Donald? Because out of all the guys that are available on that team, if they go seller mode, and the Rams probably should, if they lose 2 or 3 games right out of the bat, they should consider it because they've got no draft picks. They've got no way to rebuild. They should consider it. I think they could fetch a first-round pick for Aaron Donald. A playoff team that's close could offer a first-round pick. It would be a late first-round pick if you're in the playoffs anyway. You get Aaron Donald, he pushes you close to the Super Bowl or into the Super Bowl. It's basically a second-round pick. It is very tough on the salary cap. But it's Howie Roseman. I don't worry about the salary. Salary cap is fake anyway, right? Lions gave us their best talent. I'm done with the 49ers talking like we should fear them. I do fear them. They're a good team. But we're better than them. We've got their number. Like, woulda, coulda, shoulda happened. I get all that. I get that. Milton Williams and a third-round pick for Aaron Donald. I would do that. You guys all know I love Milton Williams. He's my guy. He's one of my breakout candidates of the year. I would do that in a heartbeat. There's no way that gets the job done. Sorry, Tyrone. Somebody like Dallas, Jerry Jones would drop a first-round pick on Aaron Donald like that. No doubt about it. At least a second-round pick. I don't know what Dallas' draft situation's like, but he would draft a first or second-round pick, drop on him in a heartbeat. I don't think a third of Milton gets it done. I would do it. Absolutely. But it doesn't get it done, in my opinion. That's a shame. But anyway, let's start the wrap-up process here. It's 9:30. We got another comment coming in over here. We're good. First-round pick. Nah. I see it on this screen. It hasn't popped up. Yeah, there it is. Nah. We don't need to do it. No first round. But somebody would, right? Let's wrap this show up. We'll be back tomorrow. Hey, it's a good. I'm going to write it down. Aaron Donald. Writing it down on my notes for tomorrow as one of the talking points. Great time as always, of course. Great comments. We didn't get up to like 250 comments. We didn't go off the chain like we did yesterday. But I think it was another solid show. We got 20 likes on YouTube, 7 on Facebook. If you're watching on replay, hit that like button. Drop those comments. I always go back. Davies knows. He dropped a comment on replay yesterday. I went back and responded. You have a great day today, guys. It's a Wednesday. I think today sounds like a day to boil some crabs, sit on the deck, have a beer after work. Subbed up. I appreciate it. Turn those notifications. We're here every day. Football, basketball. We didn't talk Joel Embiid once, so we might talk a little Joel Embiid tomorrow. We'll talk this Aaron Donald situation. Other things we didn't get to on my agenda today. We didn't really talk much about the linebackers. We didn't talk too much about my love of Jalen Hurts today. There's a lot. Discord. Yeah, I know. You want a Discord. I don't know how to get a Discord started. I don't have all you guys on Twitter, so I don't know how to communicate with you guys. We'll start a group chat somewhere, though. Everybody have a great day. Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. Live every day, 8:15, where your opinions actually matter. Hit that like button, that subscribe button. Turn those notifications on. We'll be back tomorrow. I am Phil Stiefel. Yo, go Birds!